when upgrading an existing overhead service and separating a tenant to provide their own 120/208 volt three-phase service from an original 120/240 volt three-phase service, there isn't a single definitive answer regarding grounding. Both services, the existing and the new, will be located in the same room. The question arises whether the smaller service can be grounded to the larger service ground via an irreversible splice, or if they must have two separate grounds connected to the water pipe and electrode system. The National Electrical Code allows for grounding the smaller service to the larger service ground using an irreversible splice. This is permissible as long as the larger service ground is adequately sized for both services. To determine the appropriate size of the ground wire, refer to Table 250.122 in the National Electrical Code. This table provides guidance on conductor sizing based on the size of the ungrounded conductors. Alternatively, you can install two separate ground rods and connect them to both the water pipe and the electrode system. This method, although more prevalent historically, remains an acceptable grounding practice. The decision on which method to employ, either the irreversible splice or separate ground rods, typically hinges on considerations of cost and ease of installation. Several factors should be carefully evaluated before making a decision. Firstly, assess the expected fault current for each service. Fault current is the amount of electrical current that flows during a short circuit. Knowing the potential fault current helps determine the necessary grounding capacity. Secondly, determine the distance from each service to the water pipe and the electrode system. Longer distances may increase impedance, potentially affecting grounding effectiveness. Thirdly, compare the cost of installing separate ground rods versus the cost of using an irreversible splice. Consider the materials, labor, and any specialized equipment required for each option. Fourthly, evaluate the availability of qualified personnel to install the ground system. Proper installation is crucial for safety and code compliance. In many scenarios, utilizing an irreversible splice is more cost-effective and easier to implement. However, if the anticipated fault current is high, or the distance to the water pipe and electrode system is significant, installing separate ground rods may be the more prudent approach. Grounding is a critical aspect of electrical safety, ensuring a low impedance path for fault current to return to the source, thereby facilitating the operation of overcurrent protective devices like circuit breakers and fuses. The primary purpose of grounding is to limit voltage during abnormal conditions, such as a ground fault, preventing dangerous voltage from appearing on equipment enclosures or conductive surfaces that could be touched by people. The grounding system consists of a grounding electrode, such as a ground rod, metal water pipe, or ground ring, and a grounding electrode conductor that connects the electrode to the service equipment. Additionally, equipment grounding conductors connect non-current carrying metal parts of electrical equipment to the grounding system, providing a path for fault current to flow back to the source. An irreversible splice is a type of connection that, once made, cannot be undone without destroying the connection. These splices are typically made using crimp connectors or isothermic welding, creating a permanent and reliable electrical bond. When grounding the smaller service to the larger service ground, it's crucial to ensure that the existing grounding system is adequately sized to handle the combined fault current of both services. This involves verifying that the grounding electrode conductor is sized appropriately, based on Table 250.122 of the National Electrical Code, and that the grounding electrode itself has sufficient capacity. If the existing grounding system is not adequate, it may need to be upgraded to accommodate the additional load. Installing separate ground rods involves driving one or more ground rods into the earth and connecting them to the service equipment with a grounding electrode conductor. The National Electrical Code specifies requirements for the number, size, and spacing of ground rods, as well as the methods for connecting them to the grounding system. When using ground rods, it's essential to ensure that they are driven deep enough into the earth to make good contact with the soil and that they are located in an area with adequate moisture content. The resistance of the grounding system should also be tested to ensure that it meets the requirements of the National Electrical Code. Water pipes are often used as grounding electrodes, but there are specific requirements that must be met. The water pipe must be metallic and must be in direct contact with the earth for at least 10 feet. The connection to the water pipe must be made within 5 feet of the point where the water pipe enters the building. In addition, the water pipe must be supplemented by another grounding electrode, such as a ground rod or ground ring. The electrode system refers to the combination of all available grounding electrodes, such as ground rods, water pipes, and metal building frames that are bonded together to form a comprehensive grounding system. Bonding these electrodes together helps to equalize the potential between them, reducing the risk of voltage differences that could cause electrical shock or equipment damage. When choosing between an irreversible splice and separate ground rods, several factors should be considered. Firstly, the expected fault current for each service. If the fault current is high, separate ground rods may be necessary to provide a low impedance path for fault current to flow back to the source. Secondly, the distance from the service to the water pipe and electrode system. Longer distances may increase impedance, making separate ground rods a better option. Thirdly, the cost of installing separate ground rods versus using a splice. Separate ground rods may be more expensive due to the cost of materials and labor. Fourthly, the availability of qualified personnel to install the ground system. Proper installation is crucial for safety and code compliance. The National Electrical Code provides detailed requirements for grounding and bonding electrical systems. It's essential to consult the National Electrical Code and any applicable local codes to ensure that the grounding system is installed correctly and safely. Regular inspections and testing of the grounding system are also important to ensure that it remains effective over time. In summary, when grounding multiple electrical services, there are two main options. Firstly, grounding the smaller service to the larger service ground via an irreversible splice, and secondly, installing separate ground rods connected to the water pipe and electrode system. The decision on which method to use depends on various factors, including the expected fault current, the distance to the grounding electrodes, the cost of installation, and the availability of qualified personnel. Consulting the National Electrical Code and adhering to local codes are essential to ensure a safe and code-compliant grounding system.